Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. I can't breathe. Okay, there are just a few things that I would like to say to the world. The world. Because I think it needs to hear this right now. To help it grow. Climate crisis. Yes. Climate crisis and AIDS. AIDS-filled melting icebergs with sad polar bears and the hot sun. Cancer. Tiny cancer, COVID, and little people. Systemic racism, oh Lord, systemic racism. And peaceful protests. Peaceful arson, peaceful shootings, and of course the many lootings of peace. Animals. Little animals, tiny, with sad eyes being hit with razor-covered baseball bats. Home run, no bueno. No bueno. Cultural appropriation. No bueno. Voter ID, and no bueno white people. No bueno white people. So thank you. Thank you so much. And I would like to finish with love, peace, diversity, equity, guilt. Thank you. And communism rules, and the orange man bad. Thank you. Thank you.
Well, hello and welcome to episode 4. Thank you so much for coming back. Please like, share, and subscribe because we're dealing with some hot topics and everyone's trying to take us down. We're the new kids on block. Never saw it coming. He, she, let's call the whole thing fruit. So first up, we have Joy Behar, misgendering the now known as Caitlyn Jenner, former athlete and geezer. Multiple times been talking to Sunny Hostin on The View about Caitlyn Jenner running for office as governor in California. From, get to the chopper, I'll be back, to, I definitely won't be coming back. Thank you very much for asking. So she's running as the not Republican, but basically kind of is, going on all the Republican news programs and spouting some of the same talking points, saying Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom are elitists, which, I mean, is coming from that family is a statement of complete unawareness of self. But in essence, it's true. With them eating out and getting haircuts while locking down their states and keeping the normies in their houses. All right, you stay in there. I need caviar and a perm with a highlight, but you stay in your ass. Yeah. But here we can see a little compilation of Sleepy Joy walking into this conversation with a shovel in a back pocket. So enjoy.
Sonny, he's got this guy, Brad Pascal, running his campaign. What do you think about that? I mean, that guy was accused of using campaign funds to enrich himself. What? That's who's running his campaign, her campaign, rather. I would go along with that. I think that he should, she rather, should take a seat and let somebody with the credentials take over a major state like California. So first of all, let me apologize for my pronoun mix-up. I think I just didn't get enough sleep last night. I had no intention of mixing them up, and I tried to correct it immediately, but whatever, it just came out. So I'm sorry if anybody was upset by that.
I mean, if she can't get it right, being one of the most authoritarian woke zealots out there, explaining blackness to Senator Tim Scott, I mean, one of the coolest guys in the world, you know, but now being called Uncle Tim because they're fucking shit. then how can normal people get it right? Those who just go about their day not worrying about any of this woke bloody nonsense. I mean, you can almost see the precise moment that one of the producers starts screaming in her ear. You know what I mean? Correct it! Get, Joy! Fix this fucking now! So she called the Woman of the Year a man 4 or 5 times, blaming the mistake on tiredness and shrugging it off like nothing happened. Saying, first of all, let me just apologize for my pronoun mix-up. You know, I think I just didn't get enough sleep last night and had no intention of mixing them up, and I tried to correct it immediately. But whatever. Whatever, right? It just came out. So I'm sorry if anyone was upset by that. And she went on about her day. But this is also the same Miss Behar that had a picture of her not only in the blacker face, but also in the blacker body. Whole black body. With a comical Petey Green afro included, going full minstrel. And as you all know, you should never go full minstrel. Right? So just a little aside on the topic of Peter Green. If you want the funniest and maybe one of the blackest videos that you've ever seen, then search Peter Green on how to eat a watermelon. I mean, if you want a bonus to that, then just search Patrice O'Neill, one of the greatest comedians ever, and Peter Green. And then just sit back, popcorn, beer, smoking the chung, you know what I mean? You just smoke it. And enjoy one of the finest demonstrations of why watermelon is fucking delicious. Where's my watermelon, man? So back to Joy. Misgendering and blackface, the dynamic duo of outrage, yet here she still is, yet to be cancelled like so many before her, huh? Crowder was demonetized for misgendering and poking fun at the LGBTL plus hashtag fuck you. Struck down by the corporate big tech overlords, and instantly they put down their beers and jumped at the excuse to take him down a peg. Also, one of the hottest women out there, Megyn Kelly, tuck your willy by your belly, huh? You know what I mean, boys, was effectively cancelled. Her job lost and ostracized from society for merely suggesting that back in her day, as a child, it wasn't even imagined to be offensive dressing up as a black person that you respected and cared about for Halloween. And for this gross affront to society, she was tied up and placed on a donkey backwards with a bag over her head and sent out into the desert. Just a quick aside. I went to a Halloween party as Michael Jackson back during his, blackface when I was a kid, and no one cared about it and everyone enjoyed it. You know why? It was out of respect. But this is what I like to call liberal bias, huh? Or liberal privilege, using their own term against them to really fucking piss them off, But it's the truth. I mean, here's the blackface queen, second only to the king, who misgenders willy-nilly as she goes about her day, blaming it on tiredness. Like Roseanne Barr on Ambien, who I enjoyed a bit more and, was cancelled for a joke that was purposefully misrepresented to seem racist, but as we all know, kind of really wasn't. Where those on the opposite side of the aisle are scrapped, punished, and cancelled, their businesses and livelihoods taken away, advertisers be damned. Give me your shit. Regardless of their viewers, the context of the situation, or even the rules, which shift on a case-by-case basis depending on who's being dealt with and if they like your opinion or not.
If you kick every Latino out of this country, then who is going to be cleaning your toilet, Donald Trump?
Oh, that's no.
In the sense that, you know what I mean? Like, when I'm saying
there's more jobs to be
in LA, they always,
but
they
Latinos are not only the only people
I didn't mean
doing
it like that. Come on. No, I would never mean it like that.
So depending on what side you're on, it either gets laughed off and forgotten, or they just purge you from society, man. With Joe Biden saying both fag,
carrying Nazi flags,
and
I'm eager to hear. Nigger to hear next. Nigger to hear next. Nigger to hear next from my good friends and outstanding leaders.
And he also let us into one of the biggest secrets of the Illuminati and government control with his statement, Truman, I'm under pressure. And An insight for all of us into the dark secrets of those who rule us, and also into the mind of someone running in a league of their own. But could you even imagine if a slip of the tongue like that even crept out of the mouth of Trump? I mean, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That would have been all they needed to go with the portfolio of fake news on a guide to make the white supremacist title stick. I mean, remember, Joe Biden was also the stand-up guy, man. Come on, man, come on. Who gave a eulogy at one of the heads of the KKK, Robert Byrd, a recruiter for the group, and Biden thanked him for his work back in the day.
Mona and Marjorie, the entire Byrd family. If you didn't already know it, it's pretty clear the incredible esteem your father was held in. I know you've known that your whole life.
Also, Caitlyn Jenner, formerly known as the chauvinist Bruce. I'm a lady who doesn't agree with trans boys competing in girl sports, says it's not fair, as we can see here.
There's legislation in various states to ban biological boys who are trans from playing girl sports in school. What's your opinion on that?
This is a question of fairness. That's why I oppose biological boys who are trans competing in girl sports in school. It just isn't fair. And we have to protect girl sports.
This is a statement that has led to the LGBT campaigning against her and her being kicked out of the community, calling it a vanity project. I mean, how can you be kicked out of a community? I don't get this. Caitlyn is the T in LGBT and I'm in a P. Hashtag Blackfist. Like Peter Thiel and Kanye West, who have been kicked out of the gay and black communities, respectively, though one likes cock and one likes cookouts. Just don't get them mixed up. It's strange how they play identity politics until they don't like your politics, and then your identity is removed. Huh? It's funny that, don't you think? So Jenner, who doesn't believe in gay marriage because I'm a conservative woman, though later retracted those statements as the dollars were hit hard by that one, especially those Women of the Year bucks, you know what I mean? Going. Men just do it better, even being a woman, it seems. Now I have to think how to phrase this so I don't get cancelled. But a man who became a woman then made her girlfriend become a lesbian. Perhaps being one of the most confusing and mental statements I've ever had to say. And to wrap it up with a nice cherry on top, this is also a person that killed someone with their car and then within months underwent their transformation from very guilty caterpillar to brave and beautiful butterfly. Rules for thee, and thee, you silly fools, huh? Even if you catch me multiple times and I'm dressed up like a Zulu warrior, you can't touch this. So the Oscars bomb!
Did you say bomb?
What?
Did you
What?
say bomb?
Yeah,
Hey?
I did, but I just meant it as an expression.
Yeah, well, don't say bomb around the Oscars, all right?
So the award show for the most glamorous party in town went woke and got oh so very broke. As they couldn't even bring in the ratings with an even worse showing than last year, getting the lowest ratings in history. 9.85 million. 58% less than last year's 13.75 million, showing that the film industry and the elites that swan about within it have even less relation and relativity to normal people and their everyday lives. Especially with the constant woke propaganda, the racist diversity quotas, the victim narratives, the speeches on morality while themselves being the most bloody immoral people any of us have ever seen, changing from a celebration of life and art and into a denigration of the people who pay to watch their movies and the culture that surrounds them. Entertain the f***ing customer, huh? Don't tell them how to think and how to live. But this shows ever more that there is a greater loss of our shared culture, us being divided ever further, even more, and have even less and less by the day that just connects us. Facilitated by social media, which seeks to segregate people into echo chambers, narrowing what people see and hear by their ever-growing algorithms that are simply to keep you watching, keep those clicks coming in and that ad money just piling in, baby, just piling in. A fractured society in terms of politics, truth, science, alongside entertainment and culture. And as Andrew Breitbart said, politics is downstream of culture, baby. Oh yeah, it's downstream, baby. A fractured society and culture clearly represented in one of the most divisive times of our history. We have an elite class that seeks to guide society beneath them, just that way. Guide society beneath them into what seems like segregated communist working masses who live off handouts from the government and don't mix or mingle with the other citizens around them. 6 feet, please. 6 feet. You heard that? And spend all day and night even raising their children on screens and handheld devices designed to be as addictive as fucking heroin and leading to ever higher rates of depression and suicide in young children. Yet as we remember, in the before times, before the big woo-woo was king of the outworld, whenever we were at a restaurant, more and more families all sitting at tables and them all staring at screens. And what's the fucking point? You might as well stay at home, sit in different rooms and stare at different things, all eating delivered shit with a plastic spoon. And that's what they want. They want the Hunger Games. They don't want to save people from it. An industry that is supposed to hold a mirror up to the world and reflect it back at itself, as Hamlet said. These ivory tower elites haven't mingled with reality or know any of the realities of day-to-day life that everyday people go through, live through, and enjoy. Even these awards, and therefore the movies, are chosen on the basis of inclusion and diversity, where every form of content they produce seems to be a lecture. There's no escapism anymore. If the films are double the twisted political rhetoric that we have to pay for, then shoved in your face, telling you to be better, to do better, to think better, to recognize your privilege, and also who you should vote for. Where in the 80s, the film industry was taken out of the hands of a bunch of drug-fueled talented artists by corporate businessmen who realized that films could be advertising or political sloganeering and make a whole load of money. And thus, we don't have any more films that we all love, we all care about, and characters that shaped generations or inspired greatness in the hearts of so many. Instead, they are destroying the classics of our past, with constant remakes and reboots, never adding anything to the classic legacy of great art, but showing themselves to be ever more desperate and ever more bankrupt of ideas, breaking down and destroying our shared and loved past that brought society together, no matter what race or sex or any of that shit. See, that was our culture, and they're chipping away at it. See, the hunt for money is greater than the hunt for art or truth. As we can see with Disney and what they did to John Boyega and the Star Wars franchise by cutting him out, just cutting him out of all the advertising in China. Because statistics show that tiny people we don't like black people, okay? We don't like them. Highlighted by one of many examples where the Chinese McDonald's just straight up banning black people from entering its premises. Wait until BLM hears about that one, huh? No, wait. They don't care about black people's civil rights. They don't. Just money and power and communism, funnily. The stars of the movie today are just models and YouTubers, vapid and shallow beings. People hired to stand on a mark and say something they don't understand or connect with, and just look pretty while doing it. With writers who have nothing to give except social justice advertisements, and directors with vision only for fucking the people that they cast alongside the producers, who don't care about the film, just turning out that fucking profit. Not the greats of the past that brought joy or tears to our eyes and personified who we wanted to be or not to be. It was never a question. With the oversaturation of so many streaming services and so many different shows and movies to watch and follow, you've taken the last of the butter and are trying to spread it over 1,000 loaves of bread for 1,000 years. It's just all shit. Highlighted by film after film bombing, star after star trying in vain to say something a little bit reasonable, and then coming out of the whole situation like they've gone around with Mike Tyson. They wear $100,000 dresses while they celebrate themselves. Ooh, thank you. Receive $200,000 gift bags just for turning up. The homeless are moved out of the area so as not to be seen by the talents or themselves realize the world around them that they cheered on relentlessly. With barriers and peaceful barbed wire being put up to keep out the riffraff. You And we've lost all those moments that we would talk about the next day at school or work, laughing at a TV blunder together or reveling in a sports moment that had a country riveted. We've lost this. We've lost the magic and wonder that only the world of film can inspire in our hearts and minds, magically showing us worlds and concepts never before conceived of or imagined, all without the hollow green screen computer tech that can make superheroes battle like never before. But what's the point if they don't matter or don't inspire us anymore? Like the last 40 movies, all doing the same thing where we watch 2 hours of the work of a computer company and their animators, not the work of artists. Our stories, our legends, our myths, all fading into dust and buried ever deeper by the soulless and the greedy, their light fading as we lose faith, lose courage, and forget to believe in them. Instead, choosing to grow up and think only of money rather than flying past the second star on the right and straight onto morning. So the Oscars have 50% less viewers than the year before, which was the worst of all time, and no one f***ing cares. So you think you are boss of steel, my friend, huh? Well, then think again. Think again. So we're going to do one of those, I don't know, those things the young kids do. Those kids, they do reaction videos. So we have dramatic dashcam footage showing 2 security officers and an Cash fan in South Africa escaping an attempted ambush, which has captured bloody everyone on the internet. The 3-minute YouTube video, which has more than 10 million views, shows driver Leo Prinsloo, the man with the balls of steel, and his partner, Lloyd Matombeni, who's shitting himself throughout, calmly evading a gang of armed robbers on a highway in Pretoria, South Africa on April 22nd. So Prinsloo is a former police sniper and a guy who runs a gun club and a part of the army and is just generally someone you don't want to fuck with. And he also now runs his private security escort. And Matombi told local TV station that was only his 4th day on the job. And you can see it in his face. And both men survived the attack, but the criminals have not been yet caught, though they have vowed to kill these 2 officers. So let's have a watch. Yeah, let's have a watch. Okay, so it starts with this. They're just driving down the highway, and then bullets start flying in like this. Leo's bloody on it. Look at that. Gunshot right on the direction of his head. Going right there. He's bloody, you got to be balls of steel to deal with that. He looks at it and then just keeps going. Matumbi doesn't know what's going on. He's flapping about like this. All right, Leo's on it. Grab this. Grab the big gun. That's what you want, the big gun. And then he's driving, you know what I mean? He's swerving like this. He cuts in front of them so that they can't shoot at the side of him. And then they're behind him. It's amazing. Look. They've all driven ahead. He pulls in front of the other car like that, which stops them from being able to shoot at the side of him. Now they have to shoot through his windscreen. The other guys are standing ahead taking aim. And what does he do? The fucking Jedi decides to drive into him. So they can't shoot him anymore. They have to dive out of the way. Look at that. That's amazing. Look, they have to dive out of the way rather than be able to shoot him. Their plan's totally fucked up by this Jedi. So then he's fucking going, he's moving. This is amazing, huh? How cool is this? Look, and he just keeps going, he keeps driving, he takes out a lamppost somewhere, bullets are flying. We see Matumbi, yeah, check this out. There's a guy that you can see in slow motion shoot and actually hit his window. That would have been near enough a headshot right there. This tiny little rickety van having fucking loads of bulletproof glasses. This is amazing. And he just keeps going. Look at that. Look, not even sweating. Call phone Robbie.
Phone Robbie. Phone Josh.
Josh. You got to call Josh. He's not even worried. Look. Hold this. The guy's like this. Right. It's amazing, isn't it? Look, he's not even dialing anyone. He's holding guns. He's doing this. He's looking around. Oh, it's only his 4th day on the job. Go on, Leo. Sort this out. I think that's where he hits the lamppost.
Fucking shoot him. He's natural.
Fucking shoot him. They go over the hill, they go over, and then check this out. He gets stuck or something like that. He grabs the rifle, opens the door, takes his thing off, and you know this guy, if they're coming up on him, he's going to deal with the business. You're going to deal with it. Look at him. Leo, go sort it out. No problem. Huh? He still hasn't called Josh. So black Karen, Latin cop. What's all this about the white man? So this all happened in front of a young child, her also being a teacher and shaping the minds of the next generation, which is terrifying. And what is the worst part of the whole video is the fact that she keeps saying that she's a teacher while also saying all of this hate and racism and anti-police rhetoric and these flat-out evidence-based lies in front of her own child. So imagine what she's teaching those other kids behind those closed doors. They're going to be fun to deal with in 20 years, don't you think? Now, this child should never have seen or learned an interaction like this. It being the worst way to deal with a police officer, in fact, probably the exact way on how to get shot in a multitude of different circumstances. Rather than not just pulling out your phone, which made him pull you over and then everything else happened. See, this should have been just a simple traffic stop, a ticket, and on your bloody way, just get out of my face, you horrible woman. And if she is a teacher of children, let alone her own child, and this is how she acts, then she needs to be fired and not guiding the next generation, because she can't even keep it together for a traffic stop. The cop hasn't spoken 2 words to her before she's calling him a murderer as he approaches the car. She has 2 phones ready for a scenario just like this, you know, ready, waiting for her viral opportunity, and she got it, and it backfired. Good. And she seems like she's hoping for a white cop, you know, but when a Latin guy walks up to the window, well, you've either got to shut up or double down, and she doubles down tremendously and busts with a 23. So the woman was to blame for the whole situation. Both were driving, just going about their business, you know what I mean? Oh, She sees the cop and decides, out of her mania, to bring out her phone without any provocation. He sees her using her phone while driving and pulls her over for that. Then we see the rest unfold. I mean, if she had just kept going and minded her own f***ing business, none of this would have happened. So we can see the cop saying, you can't be on your cell phone while driving. Using cell phone, because I'm quoting, you crazy people. And the woman saying, yes, I started to record because you're a murderer. You're a murderer. Which is not the response I bet he expected when he approached the car. But she hasn't even got her driver's license on her when the officer asked for it, saying mistakenly she left it. I left it at home, murderer. Murderer. Driving with a phone in her hand, no license, being racist and abusive to an officer of the law. I mean, he even allows her to present a photo of it. Off her phone. The one that caused all the trouble in the first place. I mean, this cop has the patience of a saint as he politely goes through the procedure of the traffic stop being berated the whole time, helped by the fact that he knows he's recording her on a camera that he purchased himself as protection for just this sort of occurrence. I mean, bravo, officer. Bravo. So she keeps saying she's getting a ticket because she's recording his behavior. No. It's because you're using your fucking phone, you idiot, and driving. And you could kill someone probably a lot nicer than yourself. The National Safety Council in the United States estimates that cell phone usage contributes to 1,600,000 crashes per year, with 25%, a quarter, of all crashes caused by texting and driving, with texting being 67 times more likely to cause an accident than even drunk driving, causing nearly 390,000 injuries per year. So she calls him a murderer 8 or 9 times throughout the whole video. You're threatening to kill me. You're threatening to kill me and my son. Showing the everyday bullshit that cops have to deal with before even getting to the issue at hand. And then we get to the good old-fashioned racism. Oh, the good old-fashioned racism. That's the cherry on top.
Good, ma'am. Sign inside the red box right there.
For him being a Mexican racist. What is that name? Gas.
It's on the citation, ma'am.
Here you go, Mexican racist. You're always going to be a Mexican. You'll never be white. You know that, right? You'll never be white, which is what you really want to be.
Calling him a Mexican racist multiple times, you Mexican racist. You're always going to be Mexican. You'll never be white. You know that, right? Which is what you really want to be. You want to be white. What a delightful woman. Classy, with an eye. But this is just a myth of black people just being pulled over for no reason, brother. You know, why, man, it's racist, man. Why pull me over, man? With the myth of if you want to be a cop, then you just want to be white, or an Uncle Tom, or in this case, an Uncle Pedro, if you will. With the mainstream media pushing relentlessly the white, racist police governed by systemic oppression since its very founding. The white man, the white devil. The white devil. Holding the black man down, just holding him down, man. Creating inequity purposefully and constantly. With even LeBron James saying black men are being hunted down by the police on a day-to-day basis and he doesn't feel safe. Even him. This whole situation, in this instance, started by her because of her brainwashed paranoia, fueled on by the mainstream media and big tech 24/7, 365, baby. Which is strange when black people are overrepresented as police officers, with 15% of all the police being black, compared to 12% of the whole population of the United States. Cops aren't just white these days. Well, maybe most because of population and demographics, but they're really just people from the communities that they live in and want to protect, regardless of sex or race. So a George Floyd juror alive for change. So all this ties in with the other jurors that were scared that people would come to their asses, and those that had to travel through the riots every day just to go to the courtroom for the trial.
Because the reason at that time was, obviously I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. So I felt like either way the outcome was, you're going to disappoint one group or the other. So I didn't want to go through this whole rioting and destruction again, and, you know, a little concerned about people outside my house if they weren't happy with the verdict.
Right.
Other jurors came out and said that they had to convict, otherwise they were going to see everything burn. Everything burn. Yeah. With Maxine Waters' threats, Biden's call for the right outcome at the trial, and Kamala raising bailout funds for rioters and the city paying out $27 million, baby, to the family of George Floyd before the trial had even finished. And then we have this guy. So juror number 52, Brandon Mitchell, lied to be on the jury as he says to affect political change. Sounds fair and balanced, don't you think? Kind of guy you want on jury defending your outcome. Oh, and let me also say that none of the mainstream media are talking about this, even though everyone knew the problems with all of this from the start. Exemplified by the jury taking all of 10 hours to come to the most important decision in decades. No, the jury wasn't influenced by burning cities. No, the most important news story in the country. No, not at all. No, they don't have opinions of their own on the topic, do they? No threats of violence. Shrug it off. Doxing. Don't worry about it. So Brandon Mitchell had a photo come out wearing a shirt that reads, "Get your knee off our neck," and BLM, with a picture of Martin Luther King Jr., I mean, a man they don't even like or agree with nowadays, as he wanted desegregation and peace, not segregation and unpeace. And the knee wasn't on the neck, and BLM just being terrorists. But this t-shirt directly referring to the case that he was subsequently involved in, and also sporting a BLM hat to finish off the ensemble. Now, this photo was posted in August 2020 by the juror's uncle, well before the trial when the topic was at its hottest, and so were the burning buildings. When he was in Washington, D.C., there to attend a Martin Luther King Jr. rally and listen to George Floyd's family speak on racial injustice and police brutality. I mean, appeal, acquittal, mistrial, huh? So just imagine that Derek Chauvin got off all charges after the trial, and we found out that one or more of the jurors were back to blue. I mean, there'd be outrage, wouldn't there? There'd be rioting and burning and more looting, peaceful looting, mind you, with inquiries and retrials, don't you think? We just recently found out that Joe Biden was going to have the FBI arrest Derek Chauvin after the trial if he wasn't convicted for civil rights charges. So he was going down no matter what way you're looking at it. They were making sure of that. The FBI just being the brute squad of the Democratic Party now, it seems. With Giuliani and vague lookalikes being under threat. Getting done. Do 'em. So Brandon Mitchell also has his own podcast, Well, Show Me the Money, where he discusses topics of police brutality, racial abuse issues, and black injustices, where he expresses his own opinions and outrage, commenting even on the up-and-coming George Floyd trial before it was taking place. A motion was put forth to change the location of the trial, so why wasn't it accepted, huh? And held in fucking Nepal? Because that's the only place he could have probably got a fair trial. We even have him on Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell, where he talks about jury duty as a tool for political change.
We're talking to Brandon Mitchell. He was juror number 52 in the Derek Chauvin murder trial. Brandon, before we wrap, many people don't like jury duty and probably wouldn't respond to the letter that you get in the mail. So what message would you leave to those about saying yes to jury duty?
I mean, it's important. If we want to see some change, we want to see some things going differently, we got to get out there and get into these avenues and get in these rooms to try to spark some change. And that's jury duty is one of the things. Jury duty, voting, all of those things are things we got to do.
Not understanding that jury duty is not about change, all right? Or activism. It's about justice. Blind, fair, justice for all. Impartial. Reading all the evidence and going through the laws. Not a political weapon to be used regardless of the facts. This also means that on March 15, 2021, he lied to the judge when asked about the knowledge of the case, where he said he had basic info about trial dates, etc., you know, from the news, but not the sort of thing that would keep him from serving as an impartial juror. I mean, what the right? It's a blatant lie, and we all know it. Isn't that perjury? So Brandon Mitchell also did an interview with the Wall Street Journal, where he also said he decided to go public to help push for change, and spoke of his many negative experiences dealing with law enforcement when he was a young kid. What was he up to, right? Showing that he's part of a political ideology that directly benefits from this trial and outcome, and that this ideology wanted Derek Chauvin to go to prison. And justice folded under the pressure and the threats to burn the city down. Just burn it down. And then come for you. Well, vive la France! Yeah. Finally. So the French have actually done something rather brave and interesting and patriotic for once. Allure. Surprising everyone around the world. Where a group of 20 or more retired generals, one of them being a former head of the Foreign Legion, you know those guys in the Bugs Bunny cartoons that are always in the desert and sweaty and thirsty, you know, one of them, calling for a military coup in France if Emmanuel Macron does not take serious action to prevent the desecration and destruction of France at the hands of the far left and the violent Islamists. Now the generals and the people that support them, like Marine Le Pen, are not happy with Macron's government and where it is leading. The multiple decisions he and his government have made that seem to value the whole of the world before the people of France. Encapsulated by the Yellow Vest protests that happened for over a year recently, where he treated them as insurgents and criminals, using the highest amount of force upon his own people that he possibly could without committing war crimes. I mean, just on the edge. Like the sort of stuff you see in the Congo. Always seeming to favour those who hate the country, rather than those who seek to defend proudly France and the people within it, that grew up in it, and the France they once knew. And the French have faced a number of recent attacks, multiple beheadings in churches and in the streets, with no-go areas and communities who isolate themselves to such an extent they don't even know the language, or care for the people around them who are just seen as infidels anyway. With multiple churches being burnt down, targeted by extremists, with even the most historic of them all, the miraculous Notre Dame, mysteriously catching fire by accident, of course, and then celebrated in public by all those who would see it burnt down. It's just a mystery, innit? A strange union between the far left and the Islamists, who would otherwise be at polar opposites of the political compass on all topics. Them both unifying to burn down Western civilization, but for different reasons. Hey, why not, right? The enemy of my enemy will someday cut my pretty little pink-haired head off. So these generals wrote an open letter saying that they want France to be strong against these enemies that they have, comparing it to a failed coup by generals against President Charles de Gaulle 60 years before, with a growing portion of the public in France just growing tired of the lies, the obfuscation, the political correctness, and just the hiding by the mainstream media on these ever-increasing and violent topics. With hundreds of thousands of undocumented immigrants just strolling through the border every year. Where do they go? Nobody knows, huh? You with your mask and your passport, yeah, I'm watching you. But them, don't worry about it, son, don't worry, just let them through, yeah? That if left alone, will change France forever, or at least lead them down a really dark path for a long time. So even politicians from both sides of the aisle criticize the way that Macron and his party have handled the whole situation with the election coming up. Frexit and the self-preservation of history and culture of France on one side, and more immigration, more destruction of its history and culture, taking away free speech from free people to socially engineer them in the globalist mindset where France and the French don't matter on the other. Only Zool. Only Zool. And though the mainstream media seeks to portray this as simply the old French man being Islamophobic, that old chestnut, and how boring and obtuse, as Christopher Hitchens predicted years ago here.
This is very urgent business, ladies and gentlemen, I beseech you. Resist it while you still can, and before the right to complain is taken away from you, which will be the next thing. You will be told you can't complain because you're Islamophobic. The term is already being introduced into the culture as if it was an accusation of race hatred, for example, or bigotry, whereas it's only the objection to the preachings of a very extreme and absolutist religion. Watch out for these symptoms. They are just symptoms of surrender, very often ecumenically offered to you by men of God in other robes, Christian and Jewish and smarmy ecumenical. These are the ones who will hold open the gates for the barbarians. The barbarians never take a city till someone holds the gates open for them. And it's your own preachers who will do it for you, and your own multicultural authorities who will do it for you. Resist it while you...
Though Islam and Muslims aren't a race but a religion, so one can't be racist towards them, only bigoted. I mean, it's a syntax thing, but it annoys me. I mean, get your empty threats right before you scream them in my face. Also, you can discuss issues of race without it being racist. I mean, we need to grow up, people. Yeah? You can have difficult conversations without it being evil. Deal with it. The generals also address the far left, which has no skin colour, well, except mostly liberal white women and those men that look weaker than lesbians. So that can't be racist, along with the yellow vests, which consisted of French protesters of all colours, but a large portion of them white because of demographics. So that racism charge crumbling beneath the feet of those who stand there screaming racism. Poetic, really. The general spoke of the leftist ideology on race and gender destroying France, and that they needed to stop this immediately, warning of it creating an impending civil war. So that civil war being talked about in America and France and Eastern Europe and Middle East and bloody everywhere now, right? It's not looking good, folks. Just look how far the communist termites are buried. And look how well they have dined. The general saying this social science study imported from the United States is creating hatred amongst our communities. With their hate-filled rhetoric and support for tearing down French statues and rewriting their history. Does that sound familiar? Huh? With debates on race, religion, gender, colonization and history bludgeoning the country and its people from malevolent bad faith activists seeking power, money and control under the guise of telling you how to be polite and what society should be like and what you should think, do, vote and speak, all falling in line with the cult and religion of woke social justice. The generals say it's a rejection of patriotism by its leaders that only harms French unity, and I think we'd all agree. And all this is coming after once again being conquered by the British, this time over fishing rights in Jersey, a UK territory offshore of France. So don't mess with the British, all right? Or fuck you up. So in a quick fire, what's going on around the world section? So the 1619 Project, which alleged that USA is racist to the core. In fact, it was founded and shaped only by racism. I pledge allegiance to the KKK. That's it. None of your inventions in science and striving and stuff. Even though this has been widely discredited and shown to be purposefully, factually incorrect in many parts. Just to push an ideology over truth. And just let me say, black historians, yeah, just in case you thought it was a bunch of white people saying it wasn't true. Yeah, black ones too. All right, calm down. Don't start tweeting. With them even suggesting that the founding fathers were racist to the core, including Abraham Lincoln. Saying that all this racism has to be fixed with anti-racism, which is basically just racism all over again with extra resentment. Trying to suggest that America was created when the slaves first landed on the continent. Well, except for the slaves that the natives already had. With then not realizing that the number of slaves sold into slavery equals 85 to 95%, where those caught in nets, scrambling around the jungles of Africa, equals anywhere from 15 to as low as 4%, with the lower figure most likely being correct. These figures coming from Cornel West, you know, the crazy one. So take them up with him and those black slave owners in Africa, not me. So Ted Wheeler begs for help to stop BLM, Antifa and the riots after supporting them for a year. Taking a knee in solidarity and releasing criminals. Handcuffing the police and supporting the arson, looting and peaceful violent protests. All this before he was re-elected. But now he's back in power, he's shitting himself. And he has to find a way to close Pandora's box. The mob that he once used as a weapon to bludgeon his political rivals and the people of the city is now loose and uncontrollable. And it's all his responsibility. So there is fury over a decision to let transsexuals compete at the Tokyo Olympics in the weightlifting category. You know that one? That one. The one about strength. Yeah. With women being told to shh, be quiet, when they suggest that they will lose out to this gigantic humongous of a human being. Huh? Well, that seems fair, doesn't it? It's not shocking to anyone with bloody eyes. So there is something new to add to the Hunter Biden scandal. Of course there is, huh? Of course there is. And as many shenanigans, we now have a flirty text to an Asian American secretary talking about his very close friendship and partnership with the spy chief of China. I mean, he certainly is prolific in his debauchery, right? And she also sent research to him to help Biden win his election campaign in 2020, encouraging him to withdraw company funds from accounts before they were shut down. This company, where Joe Biden's partnered with the CEFC to create a new string of oil and gas projects in the Middle East in 2017, a deal that would generate millions of dollars. Now, this whole venture collapsed as Hunter Biden's friend, the spy chief, was convicted of bribery by the United States prosecution. And all this, and the filthy photos and legal deals and the Ukrainian and Chinese interests, and using his father as currency for political gain, and we know there will be more, was all found in his abandoned laptop. So who can't wait for the next thing to drop? And why do you think they're around Giuliani's house right now, eh? So COVID-19 death totals in the UK have been inflated by 23%, the Telegraph has revealed, with figures including those who died with the virus and not dying of the virus, as most suspected from the outset. But, you know, it's nice to have, you know, all our thoughts confirmed. Multiple lockdowns later. Meaning if Cousin Charlie died of an autoerotic asphyxiation with the sniffles, that went down as COVID. Just showing how desperate they were to keep us inside and divided and anxious and buying toothpaste and love eggs online. Mayor Bill de Blasio has decided to remove standardised testing or entrance exams for schools as he's come to the topsy-turvy conclusion that they're all just Racist. Oh, God, what else is new, huh? What else is new? It seems the mayor's obsession with racial equity has a clear victim in all of this, and that's Asians. Well, and white people, but that's to be expected, huh? That's who they're targeting. Prompting protests from Asians at the actual racism and inequality being instated at government level. And you don't want to piss off the Asians, okay? You understand? The mayor responded to this by saying that the changes will improve justice and fairness, treating Asians as substitute white people that they can't really yell at and know that they skew the whole systemic racism narrative. So Hong Kong Phooey the bill. So the Taliban have launched a huge offensive after the US deadline for withdrawal from Afghanistan was delayed by Sleepy Joe Biden for the simple reason of optics, so that he can say that the 2,500 remaining troops will be removed on the significant date of September the 11th, because he's a prat. Sparking fresh attacks by frustrated forces that expected a May the 1st withdrawal bartered under Trump. The spearhead of the attacks came at the Helmand base in the province, which was handed over to the ANA, Afghan National Army Force, who fought back the offensive over 2 days, killing 100 Taliban insurgents. So thanks, Magoo Joe, Sleepy Joe, Beijing Biden. Looks like we'll grow to love that smell of napalm in the morning. All over again. So Michael Barrymore will be back in court over the mysterious unsolved death at a party in his house in 2001 where no one was ever charged after a boy was found on a concoction of drugs and sustaining horrific injuries, including sexual assault, before he died. The British Campus Christmas 90s TV presenter Barrymore will have to face questions all over again about who killed Stuart Lubbock, in the pool, and with what. My money is on Professor Plum with the lead dildo. So in the UK, there has been elections on local levels showing Conservatives making many gains everywhere except for the little 2'5" social justice mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, who managed to slither his way back into office once again. Sadiq Khan supports the BLM and Antifa Kill the Bill riots, the tearing down of historic statues, the changing of names of train stations to those of woke names, loving the totalitarian lockdown measures. He's anti-Brexit, anti-democratic, anti-Britain, and anti-British culture, all while obfuscating the illegal immigration numbers pouring into the city, taking jobs from the poor and the minorities. The increasing frequency that terrorist attacks are happening, with people just being told it's just part of living in a big city. You know what I mean? Just deal with it. And the ever-growing violent crime numbers. That has put London's numbers above that of New York City, which has shocked most people, but apparently not enough. This making the city blossom like a shit-covered flower made of knives and acid, caring little for the poor, the escalating gang or black-on-black crime, and trying to leave the city just a little bit better than you found it. Yeah, he's not doing that. So more of the same then. Just keep banging your head against the wall made of crime while people recite the definition of insanity. Shame Lawrence Fox or Count Binface couldn't have had a crack at it, eh? And finally, Sheffield University in the arse end of the UK, a proper shithole, has declared that Charles Darwin is a racist, or was, and used his theory of natural selection to justify white male supremacy in their decolonization curriculum lecturing handbook. Oh, God. I mean, how very boring these people are. Huh? I mean, they are brazen in their boringness, but they are boring. Even though it can historically be proven that the naturalist was pro-abolition, and has been documented that he wrote that slavery made his blood boil and that abolition was his sacred cause, as he referred to it. With academics calling the statements and the guidance by the university unhistorical, misleading, and authoritarian. The university wants to tackle racial injustice by reflecting on whiteness and Eurocentrism of their science, suggesting they drop the term founding fathers, idols, and geniuses to avoid hero worship of scientific figures. Yeah, it's better it be Cardi B, right? My whip, my whip, my whip, my whip. Saying that science is inherently white since the discipline was developed from the European scientific Enlightenment. showing that they've lost the plot and gone full racist, full woke racist. These people are crazy. I mean, the virus is spreading far and fast, huh? And anyone with kids in this university, this madhouse, go get them out and save your bloody money before they turn into this. So thank you so much for joining me once again. Episode 4. It's done. It's done. Episode 4 is done. That's right. So please like, share, and subscribe because it really helps and we're getting done in by the algorithms and YouTube and everyone else. So come on, give us a little love. And join us next time. Let's see what we can see, huh?